Hello everyone, welcome to IAS with Arihant. And student, as you know, we are discussing about the polity. And this is a very beautiful series that was created by Arihant especially for your prelims examination, whether you are going to participate in the UPSC IAS examination or any state PSC examination. So this session will be beneficial for every aspirant, those who are going to participate in any public service commission examination. Along with that, students, this is very important session. Why? Because it means it is a very specified book is there that is basically specially made by Arihant for your better result. Okay, so this book is basically considered as the prelims possible series, and in the series, students, you will get approximately 3500 plus question with explanation, and there are lots of feature that is mentioned or we are going to discuss in the coming session, and there will be some question also. So this is also going to be beneficial for you. So let's begin the session without wasting time, students. And as we already discussed with you, the books of this prelims possible is going to be fruitful for your examination, as well as it is going to be fruitful for your information also. Okay, so once you follow the book, once you follow the classes, you are going to be perfect for the examination. Okay, so what are the feature of this book? If you see, students, this book is specially designed and there is some specific just give me a second. Okay, so what you see, students, there is a chapter wise discussion as well as topic wise and chapter wise division also. Topical mind map, you will get 100% error free explanation you will find here. Along with that, students, there is a knowledge plus typical questions. There will be some specific information, and that information you can directly use in your examination, and there will be a 3500 plus PYQ bullets. Okay, so in the last, students will get the bullets here. Let me show you. There's approximately 30 chapters and miscellaneous also, and in the last, what you get here, this is based on the previous year question paper. So let me show you the bullet point, and automatically it is going to good for you. As you see here, this book is here. So if you see, student, this one, so prelims PYQ bullet, it is a final revision point where you get the point wise, the bullet wise information that was previously asked. So it is going to be good for you. Okay, so I recommend you one thing, just stay tuned with the session, as well as you must go with the book. Okay, I hope you all able to understand. Now we are moving further towards the question, but before that, I just give you a basically outline for the today's session. Okay, so let's begin it. Okay, so as we already told you, basically European power came to India initially for the trade. In the same time, there was a British East India Company who got right to do trade in India in 1600, and initially they came as a trader, but there was some important event taken place. They started going to be the political leader of the country slowly, and this was begin in 1773 when for the first time a regulating act was introduced by the Britishers in India. After that, students, I told you till the 1857 revolt, this country is directly ruled by British East India Company. Okay, and then after the revolt of 1857, a new act is going to be introduced that is called as Crown Act, or it is also considered as the Good Governance Act. Until 1947, students, India is directly ruled by the British Crown. Okay, in between these two specific period, they provided some rules, or you can say act. So after 1858, there was some important act like Indian Council Act 1861, 1892, 1909, 19019, and 1935. We already discussed about the same. So once again, I'm going to give a quick outline that is specially mentioned under your book, and it is going to be 100% fruitful for your examination. Student, yesterday we also discussed, because this chapter 1 topic 2 contain approximately 52 questions, 52, 53 questions. So we need to cover each and every question. So for that purpose, I just divided this topic into two parts. Okay, so one we did yesterday, and yesterday we also discussed about this important acts. I will just give quick outline, and after that we'll move further from the question where we left yesterday. So the Government of India Act 1858, it was basically the act from here. The crown rule was started in India, means now the British crown is directly responsible, and British crown will be the authority for governance of India. And students, it is also considered as the Magna Carta of Indian administration, because for the first time the British authority or British crown is directly going to control a territory, means Indian territory. And one very important thing, they are also going to proceed according to the rules or laws established by them. Okay, so it is considered the Magna Carta of Indian administration. As well as students, as we already discussed, the British East India Company rule was ended, and it is transferred to whom? It is transferred to the British crown. And at that time the queen was Queen Victoria. Queen Elizabeth I was here when the British East India Company was established in London. Okay, and students, I told you already, there was a body that is called as Board of Control and Court of Director. These two body was ended after this. Board of Controller was already, we already discussed, it was created by Pitt's India Act 1784. And students, after dissolving these two posts, now we required, means basically the crown required a person who will take care for this Indian territory. Okay, so for Indian affair there was a post created named as Secretary of State for India with the 15 member. Okay, so there will be 15 member, and they will assist basically Secretary of State for the administration of India students. As well as doctrine of lapse that was introduced by Dalhousie in 1848, it was ended. Okay, and here another important thing is going to be done. Initially there was a post named as Governor General of India. Now this post came to known as Viceroy of India students, and basically we already discussed the Canning was the first Viceroy of India. So this is also important. Okay, and after that students, if you see, nothing was provided to Indian here. It was only for the regulation, it is only for the rule. But in 1861 they are going to provide some power to Indian also. They are going to include some member. Okay, so here as well as you'll see students, there's a portfolio system was also started. Portfolio system means there will be a minister. Today we have the ministry type of concept in the center as well as in the state. So there will be a minister, he will be responsible for a department. It was started by Canning. Okay, but in 1861 what you see students, this is called as departmentalization system, or it is also considered a portfolio system. This is direct question asked in the examination students. I hope you all able to connect it. Okay, after that the demand of Indian National Congress. Now the Britishes are going to give for the first time parliamentary responsibility, means there will be some member of India, he will be the part of this council, but they don't have, they are going to be the part of the provincial council, but they are going to be, they have limitation. They have right to discuss on budget, but they don't have right to vote. They don't have right to ask supplementary question. So British is going to share this power slowly. This is also very important. So Indian Council Act 1892 was there. After that students, we already discussed, there is a very important act that is also considered as the Communal Representation Act. I already told you there was 1906 when Muslim League was established in Dhaka. Okay, after that here now Britishes found one thing. Now Britishes found one thing, they are going to play with the Indian leaders, Indian people, and for the first time here they are going to provide the Communal Representation Act. It is also considered as the Morley-Minto reform. Why? Morley was the Secretary of State and Minto was the Viceroy of India. And students, it is also considered the Government of India Act, and for the first time they are going to give the communal representation, or you can say the separate electorate, to Muslims. Okay, now the Muslim leaders in the Muslim dominated area, they are going to give power. Only the Muslim leader can basically the Muslim population going to give the vote to the Muslim leader, and that Muslim leader is responsible towards the Muslim population. So this is the first step. Now they are going to introduce a religion for the divide and rule purpose, students. I hope you all able to connect it. So in the same format, 1909 is also important. 1919 Government of India Act, and this is that we are going to create a more responsible government here, more responsible government, and it is created by Montagu-Chelmsford reform. It is also called as Montagu-Chelmsford reform. Why? Montagu was the Secretary of State and Chelmsford was the Viceroy of India. Okay, so it is sometime, I told you already, it is also called as Montford reform. Okay, so you need to remember these facts also. And initially, student, as you know, there was ICS, Indian Civil Services examination, but that was conducted in London. So in 1919, when the Government of India Act 1919 came into existence, they recommended that the creation of Union Public Service Commission, and for that, students, a Lee commission was created in 1923-24, and they recommended that now we need to create an body. So 1st of October 1926, UPSC came into existence, students. Okay, as well as there was diarchy was introduced. It is very known for diarchy. Diarchy was introduced as the provinces. Okay, diarchy was introduced as the provinces, as well as in the union, or you can say at the center, there was bicameralism was introduced. Bicameral system was introduced. Okay, so the diarchy is basically majorly based on power. We already discussed about the same. And students, you'll see there was some flaws. After that, there was Simon Commission. It was created in 1927, came to India in 1928. What was the motto of Simon Commission? To basically to check the reforms. Okay, and whenever you see students here, the things is going to modify. The roundtable conference is going to be called, and after that, Government of India Act 1935 was created. But there was also flaws. Okay, because it is not creating or not giving power to Indians, not too much power to Indians. They have only limited power. So that's why someone means basically some leader called it as a slavery chart. Okay, so see, under the Government of India Act 1935 only, a federal court was established. Reserve Bank of India was established in 1935, and the students, Burma was basically in 37, it was shifted to Mumbai. Burma was separated from India. Okay, and then in the last, Indian Independence Act 1947 on introduced, and by this act, students, what you see, the British is going to make India free, as well as there is a dominion, one will be Pakistan and one will be India. So this is about the outline of this session. Now we are going to do MCQs from where we left yesterday. So as you see, the question number 17 of chapter 1 topic 2, the Government of India Act 1919. Okay, it is clearly defined as students. As you know, the Government of India Act 1919, it is also called as Montford reform. It is called as Montford reform, Montagu-Chelmsford reform. And students, this is very, very important to understand what it did. It introduced the diarchy at the provincial level. Diarchy at the provincial level. There will be two type of subject. One will be called as reserve subject. Another will be called as transfer subject. We already discussed. Reserve subject are those subject which is controlled by the governor as well as his executive council. Transfer subject is given to the basically this ministers, as well as means the minister and governor will work on the transferred list, students. So now there was some option. According to option we need to go. So this question was asked in UPPSC 2015. If you see, option A says that the separation of power between judiciary and legislature. So which is mentioning about the 1919 Montagu-Chelmsford reform. What is the right answer for the same? The jurisdiction of central and provincial government, the power of Secretary of State for India and the Viceroy, and none of the above students. Student, I told you that there will be the division of power. When somewhere if power is going to be divided, what does it means? It means that it simply means that there will be separation of power and no one is going to interfere. So if you see this question very clearly, so see the jurisdiction of central and provincial government, power is going to be modified. So center has some power, state or you can say province has some power, and this state power once again divided into two parts, students. I hope you understand. So one was reserve and another was transferred. I hope you all able to connect it. Now for the better understanding, in this book, as I already told you students, this book, the prelims possible, this book contain a very great explanation, and this is going to be good for you, for your understanding as well as for your content enrichment. So we are going to discuss the explanation here. What you find, the Government of India Act 1919 clearly defined jurisdiction of central and provincial government. Okay, so under it, as I already told you, the Government of India Act 1919 mentioning about the bicameral system, communal representation. Now I'll say, sir, communal representation, yes. Initially only Muslim got the communal representation, but here Anglo-Indian, Sikh and Christian, they also got the representation. Okay, along with that students, there was introduction of provincial diarchy. So provincial diarchy means here basically the separation of power. Two type of list was there, one was reserve list, another was transferred list. I hope you got it. So despite limited progress in the direct election, provincial budget autonomy, so this is also introduced here, as well as the provincial budget autonomy was also given. Basically it established a non-sovereign legislature. Power residue resided with the British Parliament and Governor General, granting them overriding control over the legislation and governance student. So you'll see that this diarchy system is going to be ended in the 1935 because it was not fruitful. It was creating problem. Okay, so more autonomy is going to be provided by the 1935 to the provinces or state students. I hope you all able to connect it. Okay, now the 18th question says that which among the following introduced the provincial autonomy in the British India. So this question is going to be important for today examination also. Okay, so let's suppose you are going to participate in UPPSC, Jharkhand PCS, Madhya Pradesh PCS, and then there will be UPSC. Okay, so this is going to be important. So introduce the provincial autonomy, students. Provincial autonomy means the provinces got the right. Okay, so see, as I already told you, in 1919 they have limited power, but by the updation of by the updation, you'll see this provided autonomy to this states. Okay, so there will be full autonomy. Okay, so just opt the right answer. It is cabinet mission, provincial autonomy in British India, students. Cabinet mission, Simon Commission, Government of India Act 1935 or Government of India Act 1919. So we already discussed about the same option in the previous question, but we are going to see the explanation directly. As you know, students, the Government of India Act 1919, the provincial autonomy, as they have power, they have their own budget system. Okay, in British India, so the Government of India Act 1919 establishes the diarchy at the provincial level. I told you what is diarchy here. Okay, so that this act relaxed the control of central over the provinces by demarcating central and provincial subject. So as I already told you, there was two type of list will be here. One will be the central list, another will be the state or you can say provinces. Even today we are following the same, and this province list is going to be divided in two parts. One will be the transfer subject and reserve subject. I hope you all able to connect it. A very good evening everyone. Okay, so provincial budget was separated for the first time from the central budget, and provincial government will given the more power under the system of diarchy, students. I hope it is very important. 1919 is basically product of the demands. Okay, so as you know, World War I was there. Okay, so after that it was introduced, as well as Montagu he also recommended something कि now we are going to give the more responsible government. So that's why this power was given to provinces, but it was not going to be fruitful. Okay. With reference to the Indian civil service, which of the following statement is or are correct? Now, the Government of India Act 1919 provided a separate examination for Indian civil service, which was to be held in India. This is one. Another statement says that in the Indian civil service examination, 1941, the percentage of Indian was more compared to the European. Okay, so what is going to be the right answer for the same, students? What is going to be the right answer? Student, as we already know by the Government of India Act 1919, okay, they are going to provide this कि now the examination for Indian civil services is going to be conducted in India, and we already discussed about there was a Lee Commission was created, and under the Lee Commission that was created in 1923-24, they recommended that yes, we need a body, means we need to establish a body and who will conduct the examination in India. So automatically this is going to be correct. Okay, it was created by the Government of India Act 1919, and if you see, students, this is the time period for 1941 is the time period for the World War II. So at that time, if you see, initially there was Europeans are more in the Indian civil services examination, but now for the first time here you will see that the number of Indians is going to be more as compared to Europeans. So automatically both 1 and 2 is going to be correct, and we just added the explanation also. Statement 1 and 2 are correct. The Government of India Act 1919, for the first time they established the Central Public Service Commission, and the Civil Services Commission was set up in 1926, 1st of October. If you want to add it as more precise, so you can add here. And for recruiting civil servants in the Indian civil service in 1941, the percentage of Indian was more compared to the Europeans. So this is also important, you need to remember for the same. Okay, so this is going to be needed for examination. Now read the following statement and choose the correct option here. Okay, and this type of question, if you're not going to read carefully, definitely it is going to be incorrect. So check it carefully and answer in a proper format. So just see the question. The Act of 1919 introduced the system of diarchy in 8 major provinces, student. At that time there was provinces. Okay, the Act of 1919 created the province of Odisha and Sindh. Province of Odisha and Sindh. So if you see, we celebrate Odisha Day on 1st of April, and it was reorganized in 1935-36. Okay, and it was separated from Bihar. So it was not created in 1919. Now if you see the next question here. Okay, so Act of 1919 carried out detailed classification of subject into central and provincial subject. The Act of 1919 is dismissal failure in introducing the federalism in India. They tried to give the provincial autonomy, but that was not very successful. So now you have to choose the correct answer. And what is this option saying? Select the correct answer by using the code given below. Option A says that only statement 1 is correct. Okay. Option B says that only statement 2 is incorrect. Option C says that only option 3 is incorrect, and option D says that only statement 4 is incorrect, students. So what is going to be correct here? So as I already told you, this Odisha and Sindh was created in 1936-35. So there was a diarchy introduced in 1919. Yes, it was correct. There is a division of power between center and state. It is also correct. And yes, there is a failure of introduction of federalism in India. It was introduced in 1935. So automatically option B is going to be correct, because statement 2 is incorrect. As I already told you, the the state of Odisha and Sindh were created in 1936 by the Government of India Act 1935, and the provinces of Odisha was separated from the province of Bihar, while Sindh was separated from the province of Bombay. Now students, these are the data that is very, very unique, and that's why I told you this book is going to be important. And I know it is not written anywhere, so that's why I recommend just go with the prelims possible for the better understanding. Okay, this is one thing. Now moving further. Okay, so what you find, which of the following are the principal feature of Government of India Act 1919. So we discussed Government of India Act 1919. As you see, it is asked by the different examination, the different format, but yes, the content is same everywhere. So if you see students, the introduction, the first statement says that the introduction of diarchy in executive government of the provinces. Okay. Now, introduction of separate communal electorate for the Muslims. Okay. As well as devolution of legislative authority by center to the provinces. Students, now there's a question, and you have to choose the correct answer, students. So there's an option here. Only option 1 is statement 1 is correct. B says that 2 and 3 is correct. C says that 1 and 3 correct, and D says that 1, 2 and 3 all are correct. Now you have to understand one very important thing, students. So as you know, diarchy was introduced for the first time here. You will say yes sir, diarchy was introduced at the provincial level. Now separate communal electorate for the Muslim. Separate communal electorate for the Muslim was introduced in 1909. Okay, yes, the 1909 provision was continued here with the additional reservation to Sikh, Christian, Anglo-Indian. Okay, so this is going to be incorrect. Okay, now devolution of legislative authority by center to the provinces. Yes, so they are going to give power also. So automatically option 1 and 3 is going to be correct. I hope you all able to connect it, students. This is easy. Yes, it is very easy once you follow in a systematic format, once you try to understand the concept. So if you see here, student, statement 1 and 3 are feature of Government of India Act 1919. I introduced the diarchy in the executive government of the provinces. There is a 2 type of subject I told you in the provincial subject. One is transfer subject and reserve subject. This act also introduced the legislative devolution of power, whereby the provincial government was given the legislative responsibility for on the some selected subject. Okay, so we already know yes, there was a 3 type of power, we can simply say. One was given to center, one was given to state, and once again the state or the province's power, once again it was divided into 2 parts. Statement 2 is not the feature of the Government of India Act 1919. Why? Because the Muslim reservation, or you can say the Muslim separate electorate, was introduced in 1909, not in 1919. It was extended for more people, but it was only in the limited sense, students. I hope you all connected. Now, the Indian legislature was made bicameral for the first time. Bicameral legislature. Bicameral. What is bicameral here, students? Even today we are following the bicameral system. In the bicameral system, there will be 2 houses. One, as today we have Lok Sabha, another we have Rajya Sabha. At that time it was called as upper house, sorry, here you can say lower house, and upper house. These type of concept was there. So when for the first time it was introduced in India, and this is very beautiful question, and this is asked by many time in examination. So it was introduced at the center level, Indian legislature. Okay, so it is Indian Council Act 1892. No, there was limitation for the Indians. Indian Council Act 1909. Okay, only few member was there. Okay, but the election provision was under the Government of India Act 1919, and here for the first time students what you find, bicameral system was introduced. Okay, under the Government of India Act 1935. No, so what will be right answer for the same? It is 1919. Okay, so Indian legislature was divided, or it is made bicameral for first time by the Government of India Act 1919. So I told you here that bicameralism was introduced at the center, and here the direct election for the first time, direct election. Okay, so this is one thing. In this context, Indian Legislative Council consists of an upper house, that was at that time it was called as Council of State, and a lower house that was called as Legislative Assembly. Even today we have the lower house, but that is now called as Lok Sabha. Okay, People's House. Okay, so the majority of the member, both houses are chosen by direct election students. I hope you all able to connect it. So this is one thing. Okay, if you see the next question, in the context of Indian history, the principle of diarchy referred to. Now I know that everyone is going to be very frustrated with the same question, but yes, it is important. That's why we are sharing this with you. So now just tell me the diarchy. What is diarchy? This was the question that was asked in UPPCS as well as UPSC 2017, and I want answer from everyone. Okay, in the comment box also. Okay, so what it refers? So division of central legislature into two houses. Okay, introduction of double government, central and state, having two set of rule, one in London and another in Delhi, the division of subject delegated to province into two category. Now you have to see it very carefully. Very important for the examination students. So diarchy means what? Diarchy is basically the separation of power into transfer list and reserve list. So that was given to whom? That was given at the provincial level. So option D is going to be correct. Okay, so principle of diarchy will refer to the division of the subject delegated to the provinces into two category. One is called as transferred and another is considered as a reserve category students. Okay, so transfer categories such as public health, it means that it is more you can say needed for the local people. So public health, education, local self-government, agriculture, these under the control of minister, and reserve subject are basically under the control of governor and his council, and they are not responsible to the legislative council, but the minister activity will be responsible towards the legislative council students. Okay, now the next question, which act establishes the diarchy system in the provinces? This question was asked by the MPPSC pre 2023. Okay, so this is a very recent question. Okay, so Government of India Act 1932, there was no act that was introduced in 1932. Okay, Government of India Act 1919, Indian Council Act 1861, or Morley into reform, that is 1909. So diarchy students, this is a key term, that is diarchy. Diarchy was introduced in 1919, and there is a separation of power in the two terms in the provinces, that is one is reserve and another is transferred. We already discussed about the same. So see students, at that time diarchy was implemented in 8 provinces. How many provinces was there? 8 provinces. This is also a question. One is Assam, Bengal, Bihar, Odisha, Central Province, United Province, Bombay, Madras, Punjab. Okay, so this is also going to be important somewhere, so just try to connect for the same. So they all got the diarchy provision. Diarchy means there were 2 types of power. Getting it? Under which of the following act diarchy was introduced at central level students? Diarchy at central level means there will be once again division of power. We can say there will be a division of power. Simply you can understand this. Okay, this is nothing but it is what? It is division of power. Okay, so division of power at the central level. Okay, so it is Act of 1909, 1919, 1935 or 1947. So diarchy was abolished at the state, or you can say province. In the province, diarchy was abolished, students. Diarchy abolished in year 1935. Okay, but it was introduced at the center. Even today we are also following the same type of thing, that is a division of power between center and state. Okay, so there is a division in the same format here also. So Government of India Act 1935 is here. So the Government of India Act 1935 introduced diarchy at the central level. In the Government of India Act 1935, diarchy in provinces was eliminated. As we already discussed, it was removed, but because it was failed provision. So granting autonomy and ending the division between reserve and transfer subject, establishing full responsible government with certain safeguard. So there will be more autonomy. Autonomy is given in 1919 only, but there was more autonomy because there is a two type of list. It is going to be ended, and now they are going to be the more autonomy. Okay, so provinces gain authority directly from the British Crown, obtaining independent financial power as well as borrowing capability. Provincial legislature were expanded with 6 provinces adopting bicameral legislature and remain 5 retained unicameral assembly. Bicameral legislature means there will be 2 houses. Okay, the concept of communal electorate and weightage were expanded, including the depressed class, women and labor. It is very important. Initially, you need to remember this code. 1909, Muslims got the separate electorate. 1919, there will be Muslim already they got the power. Sikh, Christian, Anglo-Indian, they also got the reservation. In 1935, students, women, labor class as well as depressed class, they also get the right, they also get the separate electorate. So means here this was basically boycotted by Gandhiji, but they introduced this. Okay, so franchisee extension ensured, allowing approximately 10% of the total population can get the voting right. Not means it is not like everyone going to vote as today we are giving. At that time there was only limited population who are allowed to vote. So see, this is also another very beautiful explanation mentioned under this book. Okay, that's why I'm telling you this book is going to be important for you. Okay, I hope you got it. Now consider the following statement. So the Montagu-Chelmsford Reform 1919 recommended granting voting right to all the women above the age 21 year. Student, here universal adult franchise was not there. Franchises was introduced in 1935. Universal adult franchise was not there. So Government of India Act 1935 gave the women reserved seat in the legislature. Now see, this question was in UPPSC 2021 also, as well as in the UPSC pre also. So see, you have to choose the correct answer. As I already told you, under the Montagu-Chelmsford there was limited people who can vote. So there was no age based voting system, but by this Government of India Act 1935, the women reservation was there. So you can go with the option only 2. I hope you are able to connect. So this is important. So statement 2 is correct, as Government of India Act 1935 did introduce reserved seat for women in both central as well as the provincial legislature, allocating these seats based on their population. Getting it? So statement 1 is not correct or incorrect, because Montagu-Chelmsford reform did not propose any voting right to women, but recommended establishing a commission to explore extending the franchises. I hope you got it. Now another question we have. So which of the following act introduced the principle of constitutional autocracy? Constitutional autocracy means the constitution is going to be here, and according to the constitution they are going to perform or act. So see students, constitutional autocracy, as you know ki today we have our constitution that was introduced on 26th of January 1950. What you see students, basically the today's constitution is basically motivated with the Government of India Act 1935. So that's why Government of India Act 1935 is considered as the blueprint of Indian constitution. So what you see here, the Government of India Act 1935, basically it is mentioning the principle of constitutional autocracy. So let me discuss here. So the Government of India Act 1935 introduced the principle of constitutional autocracy by vesting the executive authority of provinces in the hand of governor and the central level to the Governor General on the behalf of the Crown students. So there were basically a constitutional autocracy was given, means self-rule you can say was provided here. I hope you all getting it. This is important. Now student, if you see the next question, the distribution of power between center and state as in the Constitution of India is based on which of the following plan? If you see students, today also we are going to connect with the polity. The Schedule 7 of Indian Constitution, it is mentioning about the division of power. So division of power between center and state. So from where this concept we derived, as well as students, there is a third list also that is called as concurrent list, where both center and state have to function. So see, it is basically derived from the Government of India Act 1935 students. So distribution of power between center and state, that was included in our Indian Constitution from the Government of India Act 1935. See, if you see 1919, that was diarchy at province. Okay, it was ended in 1935, and the same type of provision introduced in Government of India Act 1935 for the center and state, and there was some reserve list also. Okay, so we are going to discuss that also. Okay, so if you see, the distribution of power between the center and state in the Constitution of India is based on Government of India Act 1935. Okay, as well as this act provided all India Federation, very important line. So there will be all India Federation, means there will be state as well as princely state, they will be the part of the one unit. Okay, and distribution of power between center and state into three lists. Okay, so one will be the center list, another is state list, and another will be the residuary power. So the maker of Indian Constitution took the main provision of Constitution of India with the mirror change in it, with a minor change in it. Okay, I hope you all are able to understand. So it is just a type of mirror image from the Government of India Act 1935. So the federal system proposed under the Government of India Act 1935 was federal system. So as at that time I told you student, there was some state as well as princely state also, and there will be federation, instrument of annexation type of thing. So you'll see students ki what it was called as the Government of India Act. So all India Federation. So this is the term that was used at that time. Today what we are saying, under the Article 1 of Indian Constitution, that is India, that is Bharat, shall be the union of state. Okay, so today we are using the term union, but yes, in practical way we are federal. Okay, I hope you all connecting it. So automatically federal system proposed under the Government of India Act 1935 was All India Federation. So under this, students, they provided for establishment of All India Federation consisting of provinces and princely state as unit. Today we have 28 state and 8 union territory. In the same format there was also. It called for the promotion of an Indian Federation made up of Governor's Province, Chief Commissioner Province, as well as student Indian state that is going to join voluntarily. Okay, easy. If you see the question number 30, so the provision for the establishment of All India Federation was included in the All India Federation. So we already discussed, it is mentioned under the Government of India Act 1935. Okay, so explanation we already made. Okay, so this is one thing. This is important for the examination. Just stay tuned. Okay, after that, now which one of the following act provide for federal polity in India? Once again, you have to see this. The question is same, but they're asking different format. So by the Government of India Act 1919, 1909, 1935 or Act of 1947. So federal polity was introduced by the Government of India Act 1935. We already discussed they are going to include the 11 governor provinces, 6 chief commissioner provinces, as well as princely state who might accede to the federation. Okay, so this was totally voluntary. I hope you all able to connect it. Now we are moving towards another question. There is a Federal Court of India was established by which of the following year, students? Federal Court. Okay, student, as you know, there was Government of India Act 1935. That is mentioning about what? That is mentioning about the All India Federation. So if it is mentioning about the All India Federation, it means that after this only the federal structure is going to be pronounced multiple times. So according to this act in 1937, a court is going to be created that will be called as Federal Court. And see, after the independence and when we implemented our constitution, we created Supreme Court of India. And Supreme Court of India came into existence on 26th of January 1950. And the first meeting was taken place on 28th of January 1950. So don't get confused. When Constitution came into existence, Supreme Court of India came into existence. So don't opt 28. 28 was the first meeting day. So it was created in 1937, students, Federal Court. Okay, got it? So I just added Federal Court of India was established in year 1937. Federal Court of India was established under the Government of India Act 1935. It has jurisdiction to solve dispute between the province and federal state and hear appeal against the judgment from the High Court. We already discussed that the High Court was created after the High Court Act that was introduced in 1861, and the first High Court was Calcutta, then Bombay, and then Madras. So Calcutta was created in July 1862, Bombay was created in 14th of August 1862, and Madras was created on 15th of August 1862. So you need to remember the date also sometime. After independence, the Federal Court and the Judicial Committee of Privy Council were replaced by the Supreme Court of India, and which came into existence on 26th of January 1950. We already discussed about the same. Okay, I hope you all able to connect it. Anybody have any doubt? No, everything is going well. Great. So which of the following statement is false? The Government of India Act 1919 is based on Montagu-Chelmsford report. Okay. Second statement, the Indian Legislative Council was replaced by a bicameral legislature by the Government of India Act 1935. What it is asking? It is asking about the false. The system of diarchy was introduced by the 1919 Act. Nearly 75% of constitution can be said to be a reproduction of Government of India Act 1935. Basically, Government of India Act 1935 is also considered the blueprint of Indian Constitution. Blueprint of Indian Constitution. Why? Major provision was derived from the same place. So now we are going to discuss it one by one. Okay, I hope you all able to connect it. So as you know, students, Montagu-Chelmsford reform or report, it is basically Government of India Act 1919. Okay, the system of diarchy was introduced in 1919. It is also correct. As you know, the Government of India Act 1935 is the base of our Indian Constitution. So see, bicameral legislature was introduced in 1919 at the center. So automatically option B is going to be false. So I just added, it means the explanation of this book is added here. So see, once let's suppose you're studying for the first time, at that time also you can understand this topic. Okay, so statement B is false because Imperial Legislative Council was converted into bicameral legislature by the Government of India Act 1919, not by the 1935. We already discussed about the same. So that's why it is very important. And here once again it is mentioned, once you solve the question, once you read the explanation, automatically the things is going to be in your mind. Okay, so the Government of India Act 1919 replaces Indian Legislative Council by bicameral legislature consisting of an upper house that was called as Council of State and lower house that was called as Legislative Assembly. Now, in the federation established by the Government of India Act 1935, residuary power. What is residuary power? The power which is not mentioned in the center list or state list. Who is going to make law or make any provision regarding same? So if we talk about the today, we also have residuary power. But today's residuary power lies the Parliament. Parliament of India has residuary power in present scenario. But who was responsible at that time? Okay, so federal legislature, governor general, provincial legislature or provincial governor, students. So see, here the Parliament is the authority and at that time governor general was the supreme authority. So governor general has right to create law or anything if it is there is any residuary matter. So here see a very beautiful portion as we are mentioning multiple time, the knowledge plus. So you can see here there is a two important point and that is automatically going to give a clear cut solution for everything. So in the federation established by the Government of India Act 1935, the residuary power vested with the Governor General of India. Okay, residuary power, he has absolute authority over the residuary subject. So currently this power lies in the hand of Parliament. So knowledge plus, this is going to be another beautiful thing. So students, read it carefully. If you see here, the some silent feature of the Government of India Act 1935 as follows. 1. Abolition of provincial diarchy and introduction of diarchy at the center. Now it is one point you need to remember. Okay, abolition of Indian Council and introduction of an advisory body. It's at the Indian Council, students. So this is going to be important. Okay, so now this Indian Council is going to abolish. And now this council is going to only have limited power, they are advisory. Got it? So this is important. Now, by which one of the following act was Federal Court of India was created? So options are, this is from the UPPSC pre. Indian Council Act 1861, no. Government of India Act 1909, no. The Government of India Act 1919, you already know. This is not going to be correct. Federal Court was created in 1937 by the Government of India Act 1935, students. So none of the above is going to be correct answer for the same. I hope you all able to understand. So we already mentioned here, the Federal Court of India was a judicial body established in India in 1937 under the Provisions of Government of India Act 1935 with the original appellate and advisory jurisdiction. Okay, so it came to known as Supreme Court of India in 1950. Okay, So another question, which one of the following is not an important and permanent constituent in the Constitution History of India as adopted in Government of India Act 1935? Very, very important. A written constitution for the country, UPPSC 2010, elected representative responsible towards the legislature. It is envisaging a scheme of federation and nomination of official member to the legislature. Good evening everyone, a very good evening. I hope you all able to connect it. So see, what is going to be right answer for the same? Student, they're simply mentioning that not an important and permanent constituent in the constitutional history of India. So that was a written constitution for the country. They're electing the representative responsible toward the legislature. A scheme of federation was there, they included it. Nomination of official member to legislature, but written constitution for country was not there. So the demand for written constitution for the country was not met in Government of India Act 1935. And as you know, Government of India Act is considered the constitution, but it is not constitution. It made administrative reforms. Okay, so the demand of written constitution was accepted by August offer that was introduced in 1940 by Lithgow. 1942 Cripps mission came to India, and they also drafted a proposal of the framing of the independent Indian constitution. Students, hello sir. Okay, I hope you all able to understand. Now students, basically the question number 37, which act is called as by Jawaharlal Nehru, we were given a car which had brake but no engine. So which act is came to known as, or which act is criticized as, we have a car but it has brake also, but we have no, means this car has no engine. So basically it means totally useful, means they given you steering, they given you the power of brake, but if engine is not there, means car cannot run. So basically it was nothing but it is Government of India Act 1935. Okay, so see, regarding the 1935 Act, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru says that we were given a car which had brakes but no engine. Okay, so this is also important. In this act, all the members of the provincial legislature were elected. The executive was made accountable to the legislature. Okay, control over the provincial government was vested in an officer appointed by the British Crown in lieu of the elected government. In this context, Jawaharlal Nehru says that yes, this is totally involuntary, undemocratic and anti-nationalist, and also termed as car with many brakes without engine. Students, so means there is a car but with no engine, so it can't run, na? Okay, so this is one thing. I hope you all are able to understand. Hello Anchal Madhesya. Okay, easy, you all able to connect it. Now we are moving towards the question number 38. Which one among the following was not a salient feature of Government of India Act 1935? So not a salient feature. Okay, so first option is it marked the beginning of provincial autonomy. This act provided for an all India federation. It abolished the hierarchy at the provincial level, introduced at the central level. Residuary subjects were allocated to provincial legislature. Now, not a salient feature, students. Okay, so opt the right answer. See students, provincial autonomy was given by 1935. Okay, so this is the beginning. Okay, this act provided all India federation, it is also correct, as well as hierarchy was abolished at the provincial level and it was introduced at the central level. So automatically these three are correct and This residuary is not going to be correct, students. So residuary power is given to whom? It is given to Governor General. So this is important. Try to remember these things. Okay. So explanation says that statement D is not correct about the salient feature of Government of India Act 1935, as residuary subjects were not allocated to provincial legislature. This is given to Viceroy, or you can say the Governor General only. Okay, I hope you got it. Now we are moving towards another question, and you have to see the statement. So consider the following statement. The Government of India Act 1935 provided for, okay, provincial autonomy, establishment of federal court, all India federation at the center, students. Now what is going to be correct? So we already discussed it provided the provincial autonomy to the states, or you can say the provinces. Federal court was created 1937, and all India federation word was used there. So option D is going to be correct. Means 1, 2, 3 all is correct. Okay, we already discussed about the same. So explanation is also here once again. So 1, 2, 3 all are correct, because about the Government of India Act 1935, see, it is mentioning about the provinces were given the provincial autonomy as it is abolished hierarchy in the provinces. Okay. Act stated that establishment of a federal court, which was established in 1937. This act provided for the establishment of all India Federation of the center, consisting of provinces and princely state, students. So all India Federation was also there, and this word you need to remember for the examination. I hope you all able to connect it. Now another question. Okay, see, this question is going to be little tricky, so read carefully. Consider the following provision of Government of India Act 1935. This act provides separate representation not only for Muslim but also for Sikh, Indian Christian, Anglo-Indian. So as you know, it is already given 1919. So this is going to be correct. Residuary power vested in the central government. Residuary power given to whom? Residuary power is given to Governor General or Viceroy. Simple. So neither councillor nor any council minister responsible towards the legislature came to appointed under this act, students. So now what will be right answer for this? So if you see this act, if you go in a very detailed format, so it's also sometimes depend on the statement. So here Sikh, Indian Christian, Anglo-Indian, this provision was made in 1919. Under this, women, depressed class was also added, students. So you have to read the statement very carefully. Here it is going to be 1 and 3 because it's depend on option also sometime. But if they are giving exactly the same option and they are mentioning that it is under the 1935, then it is going to be incorrect. Okay, so see, there are some options, codes. Statement 1 and 2 are correct. Statement B, 2 and 3 are correct. Statement C, 1 and 3 are correct. Statement D, 1, 2, 3 are correct. Okay, so see, it is going to be correct near about, and it is going to be correct. Residuary power is not good. So whenever you get the 2, means option 1, A is not going to be correct, B is not going to be correct, and D is not going to be correct because 2 is wrong. So on the basis of option, you will go for option C. And this is the needed, you can say, capability to choose the right answer. Don't say ki sir, here they mentioned that ki it was also already 1919. Then why this is going to be correct? Because it is not in option. Okay. So in this format also you have to react. Getting it? So 1935 made provision for the separate electorate on the basis of religion, profession, etc. Sikh, Anglo-Indian and Indo-Christian were be given the separate electorate. Okay, so there was any responsible government was not created. Okay, but the act introduced responsible government in the provincial level. That is, governor was required to act on the advice of minister responsible to the provincial legislature, as today we are following. Statement 2 is incorrect because residuary power lies in the viceroy, not under the central government. Okay. Question number 41 we have now. The real intention of British to include the princely state in the federal union proposed by Government of India Act 1935 was to. A real intention. What was the real intention, students? They included All India Federation. They made All India Federation and they included the princely state also. Why? So exercise more and direct political and administrative control over the princely state. So they are the princely state, they want autonomy. Okay. Involve the princes actively in the administration of the colony. Finally, effect the complete political and administrative takeover of all princely state in British India. It was not done till independence. Use the princes to counterbalance the anti-imperialistic doctrine of nationalist leader. What you find, students, the Indian national leader, they are demanding things, and now they are going to, means we are against the imperial power, but now they are going to use the princely state against them. So there will be a counterbalance. So they use it. Okay, that's why they created a union federation, and they proposed that the princely state is also going to be the part of the same. Okay, so here the real intention of the British is to include the princely state in the federal union proposed by the Government of India Act 1935 was to use the princes to counterbalance the anti-imperialistic doctrine of nationalist leader. Okay, so this is important. So let me tell you once again how it was included. We are going to discuss. So under the Government of India Act 1935, it was proposed that there will be All India Federation that is made up of British Indian provinces, princely state, and it constituent unit was 11 governor province, 6 chief commissioner province, as well as the princely state. Okay, and all those states who agreed to join it. The state was absolutely free to join or not join the proposed federation. At the time of joining the federation, the ruler of the state were to execute an instrument of annexation in favor of the crown. So it was made here. Okay, now the power of the president to issue ordinance is a relic of, means from where we find it. So if you see, students, under Article 123 of the Indian Constitution, there is a ordinance power. Ordinance power can be issued when Parliament not in session and an law needed at the urgent basis. So at that time Parliament can't meet, so there is this power is given to president and he can issue ordinance. Okay, so from where this provision was derived? Government of India Act 1919, 1935 or 1919, or Indian Independence Act 1947, students. So from it, where it was derived? See, this power is mentioned under the Government of India Act 1935. Okay, so we are going to discuss it, how it was there. So the power of the president to issue ordinance is a relic of Government of India Act 1935. The Government of India Act 1935 authorized the Governor General and Governor of Provinces to promulgate ordinance if circumstances require, and the life of such ordinance is for 6 months. So the same concept we are following today, as we already added here in the explanation. Article 123 of the Indian Constitution provided for the promulgation of ordinance by the President. The President promulgate the ordinance when Parliament not in session, and the life of this ordinance is for the how much month? It will be for 6 months. And if Parliament going to pass that, it will continue. I hope you all able to connect it. Easy, everyone. Very simple. Why the Government of India Act 1935 is important? Okay, so we already know it is the main source of Indian Constitution. Okay, it gave independence to India. No. It envisages partition of India. No. It abolished the native state. No. So automatically it is the base of Indian Constitution. Our major provision was derived from the Government of India Act 1935. So let's see the explanation. The Government of India Act 1935 is important as it is the main source of Constitution of India. The foundation of Indian Constitution are laid on major article and clauses drawn from the Government of India Act 1935. Approximately there will be 250 articles were adopted in the Constitution of India from the Government of India Act 1935 students. Federal structure, judiciary, public service commission, emergency provision, administrative structure, office of governor, they derive from the Government of India Act 1935 students. Now, which one of the following act lead to separation of Burma from the India? See, Burma is nowadays it is called as Myanmar. Okay, so it was separated from India in 1937, but there was an act that separated Burma from India. So this was only the Government of India Act 1935. So these are the direct fact data, and it was in UPPSC means 2011 students. Okay, so the Government of India 1935 laid the separation of Burma from India, as it is also included the Government of Burma Act 1935 students. Okay, so there was a separate act was introduced there. So in 1937 this Burma was separated from India. Okay, so this is very, very important. Okay, easy. Now 45th question we have, which of the following act described by Jawaharlal Nehru as a charter of slavery? Very important question. Even in any one-day examination this question is visible multiple times. So just opt the right answer. So Government of India Act 1909, 1919 or 1935, or Government of India Act 1947. So 1947 was not an act, it was Indian Independence Act. Okay, see, Charter of Slavery is basically called to 1935 Government of India Act because this act sought the safeguard and maintain British rule in India. It abolishes the provincial diarchy, introduced the diarchy at the center, and abolished the Indian Council Act and introduced the advisory body. So this is going means they have very limited power. So they said that it is a charter of slavery, means Indian going to be the slave of this Britishes. Okay, then we have 46th question. The instrumentation of instruction. Okay, it was contained in the Government of India Act 1935. It was incorporated in the Indian Constitution in 1950 as what? See, it is basically not mentioned in this format. Basically Dr. B.R. Ambedkar sir says the same, कि as we have the instrument of instrument of instruction Government of India Act 1935, the same type of concept we included in the part 4 of Indian Constitution, and that was directive principle of state policy students. So this directive principle of state policy, it is basically derived from the if you see, this is derived from the Spain. Okay, but yes, it is same like as there was in Government of India Act 1935 instrument of instructions. Okay, so I just added here explanation also. The instrumentation of instruction contained in the Government of India Act 1935 has been incorporated in the Constitution of India in year 1950 as a directive principle of state policy. It is mentioned under part 4A of Indian Constitution. Okay, and what is DPSP here, as well as instrument of instruction? So basically it is for the creation of welfare state. This policy provide for economic and social right to the people of India. However, it is in the form of instruction and basically directive, and it is not enforceable in court of law at that time also and today also. Okay, now with reference to the cabinet mission that entered in India in 1946, which of the following statement is correct? It recommended a federal government, it enlarges the power of Indian court, it provided for more Indians in the Indian civil services students. Now what is going to be the correct answer for the same? Okay, this is going to be important question. If you see students, there is nothing connected with the cabinet mission for Indian court, not for the Indian council, Indian civil services. It is only one is correct. They mentioned that we must create the federal government. So only option 1 is going to be correct. Okay. So cabinet mission is here. So cabinet mission sent to the India consisted of 3 members. One is Secretary of State named as Patrick Lawrence, Sir Stafford Cripps and A.V. Alexander. They reached to India in 1946 and they proposed that there shall be Union of India or Federation which was to be empowered to deal with the defense, foreign affair and communication. Okay, 2 and 3 incorrect because they are not connected with the means they don't have any power regarding the court or Indian civil services provision. Okay, now the 48th question we have another very important data. Consider the following statement regarding change made by the Indian Independence Act 1947 in the position of Constituent Assembly. Okay, I hope you are able to connect it. So Constituent Assembly was made a fully sovereign body. Sovereign body means they are free to act. The Constituent Assembly became the first parliament of free India. Okay, when the Constituent Assembly met as legislative body, it is chaired by the Dr. Rajendra Prasad. So there is a word legislative body means law making body means parliament, and the total strength of the Constituent Assembly came down to 299 as against 389. It was initially, but it was later decreased to 299. So student, you can see here according to the option you need to go. If you see the legislative body, when Constituent Assembly functioned as legislative body at that time, G.V. Mavalankar, Ganesh Vasudevan Mavalankar, he was the first Lok Sabha speaker also, as well as he was the first means he is the chairperson or you can say head of the legislative body when Constituent Assembly meet as a parliament. So automatically whenever if in any option 3 is mentioned, it is going to be incorrect. So option 1 is incorrect, option 2 is incorrect, option D or 4 is incorrect. So automatically 1, 2 and 4th statement is correct. So see here, the Constituent Assembly was made a fully sovereign body by Indian Independence Act 1947. It is correct. The act abolished the office of Viceroy and provided each dominion a Governor General, and student, the first Governor General of India was Mountbatten. He was the British. Okay, but as you know, if there is a question Indian Governor General first, so he was C. Rajgopalachari sir. Okay, so Government of Britain have no responsibility with the respect of Government of India and Pakistan, and the act empowered the Constituent Assembly to frame any constitution for the nation. The Constituent Assembly on 26th of January 1950 became the provincial parliament for India, students. Okay, the total membership of Constituent Assembly was 389 initially, but it was reduced because Pakistan was separated from India. Okay, however, as a result, partition under the Mountbatten Plan 3rd of June 1947, a separate Constituent Assembly was set up for the Pakistan, and representative of some provinces ceased to be the member of this assembly. As a result, membership of the Constituent Assembly was reduced. Statement 3 is incorrect because this when assembly meet as a legislative body, it is headed by the G.V. Mavalankar, not by the Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Dr. Rajendra Prasad sir was the head of the Constituent Assembly. Now, Indian Independence Bill was passed in British Parliament. It is mentioning about the bill. So bill was introduced on 4th of July. Okay, so I just added here the British Prime Minister Clement Attlee was here, who introduced the Indian Independence Bill in the House of Commons on 4th of July 1947. It was passed by both house, means it is going to pass by both house of the Parliament in 1947, 15th of July. It got the royal assent on 18th of July 1947. So basically this act was introduced according to the Mountbatten Plan, students. So Mountbatten Plan was accepted by Jawaharlal Nehru and Jinnah, and shortly after approval, both house means the House of Commons enacted Indian Independence Act 1947. Got it? So India got independence on 15th of August from the Britain territory. Now, which of the following is the legal document created in 1947 that allowed princely state to join either India or Pakistan? So see, there was, means it was used as instrument of accession. So Act of Accession 1947, Instrument of Accession 1940, Instrument of Accession, legal document for accession, or none of the above. Now what is going to be the correct answer for the same, students? So if you see, there was an instrument of accession that was already in 1935. So Instrument of Accession was a legal document first introduced by the Government of India Act 1935. It was issued in 1947 to enable each ruler of the princely state under the British paramountcy to join any new dominion, whether it is India or Pakistan, which were created by partition of British India, students. Now, this is the last question of this chapter as well as this topic. You have to match list 1 with the list 2, select the right answer and match the code. So list 1 contain act, list 2 contain provision. So Indian Council Act 1909, Indian Government of India Act 1919, Government of India Act 1935, and Indian Independence Act 1947. Now I'm going to mention about the provision. The crown no longer the source of authority. So it is by Indian, okay. The crown will be no longer for the source of authority. So it was by the Indian Independence Act. Yes or no? So for D, option 1 will be here. Now, Indian Council diarchy at the center, it is by the Government of India Act 1935, C2. Then first time separate representation for Muslim community, it was added by 1909. Diarchy in the provinces by 1919. So I hope you all able to connect. So if you see the option A 3, okay, B 4, C 2 and D 1. So option A is going to be correct for the same. Indian Council Act 1909 accepted the concept of separate electorate and introduced the system of communal representation for Muslim community. 1919 diarchy system was introduced. Government of India Act 1935 introduced diarchy at the central level. Indian Independence Act 1947 abolishes the British rule and declared India as an independent and sovereign state from the 15th of August 1947. Thus the crown as a source of authority no more exists here onward. So this is all about the today's chapter, students, and now we are moving further. We have 2 more questions here. Now, who of the following was not the member of interim national government formed in August 1947? So C. Rajgopalachari was there, Dr. Rajendra Prasad was there, Jagjeevan Ram was there, but Dr. S. Radhakrishnan was not part of the same. And as you know, he is the first Vice President of India. Okay, as well as the awardee for the Bharat Ratna also. Easy. So Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan sir was not the member of interim national government formed in the August 1947, while C. Rajgopalachari, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Jagjeevan Ram were prominent figure who held ministerial position in the interim government. Dr. S. Radhakrishnan was a renowned philosopher and scholar, was not part of the Government of India, but yes, he worked as first Vice President of India from 1952 to 62, as well as he was the second President of India. His contribution were more in the field of education, philosophy, diplomacy rather than the direct involvement in day-to-day administration of the interim government, students. Now another question we have. Given below are 2 statements in which one is assertion and a second is the reason. Assertion says that according to Wavell plan that was in 1945, Lord Wavell introduced this, the number of Hindu and Muslim member in the Executive Council will be equal. So it was a proposed plan. Reason is Wavell thought this arrangement would avoid the partition of India. See, assertion is okay, but reason is incorrect. So A is true, R is false. Why? Wavell plan, which was proposed by the then Viceroy of India, Lord Wavell in 1945, envisages the formation of an executive council with equal representation of both Hindu and Muslim from provinces. Along with that, 5 other members nominated by the Viceroy. The plan aimed to create more representative and responsible government in India. Okay, so there is nothing connected with the partition. In India, to resolve the deadlock between the Congress and Muslim League, Wavell did not think this arrangement would have avoided the partition of India. In fact, he aware that Muslim League was demanding a separate state for Pakistan and that Congress was opposed on it. So he hoped that equal representation of Hindu and Muslim in the Executive Council would facilitate a dialogue between them and lead to a constitutional settlement. However, his plan failed to win the approval of both parties and have eventually rejected by the British cabinet students. So this is all about the today's session, students, and as we already discussed about the same, yes, for the better understanding, for the better score in your prelims examination, you must go with the books that is red in color. And students, this is called as Prelims Possible, and see, this book is available for each and every subject. Okay, and this book has lots of feature we already discussed. There's a very beautiful explanation for each and every question, basically knowledge plus with typical question that is needed, and that give the more conceptual clarity. PYQ bullets for revision as well as free package chapter test. Along with that, students, this PYQ bullets is going to be very important for you. So see, these books are available at stores, so go and get this book. It will be good for you. Thank you so much for joining and listening. But one very important thing, this book is available for Indian history, geography, Indian polity, Indian economy, as well as for the general science. Thank you so much for joining and listening, students. We'll meet soon, everyone. Take care. Have a great day. If you feel any doubt and difficulties, I'm waiting for your comment in the